Hello and welcome to the Young Turks Dream Decade. I'm SHEREEN. Over the next 30 minutes, we travel across the country to bring you bright young entrepreneurial talent. On the Young Turks tutorial, we give a young startup a chance to be mentored by a venture capitalist of his or her choice. And on the YT Buzz, we tell you about everything that's hot and happening in the world of entrepreneurship. Here's a quick glimpse of what we have lined up. Our first story is an unusual one, and here's why. 3 graduates from IIT Bombay decide to get together and get into the spa business. That's not something that you usually see most IITians doing. The second reason why it's unusual is because as opposed to getting into the high-end spa business, which is the route most Indian entrepreneurs have been taking, they decided to get into the value-for-money spa business. They've already done a turnover of 5 crore rupees, and they're hoping that their spa chain, Four Fountain Spas, will have 300 outlets by 2014. Here's SAUGAT catching up with Anurag, KEDIA and his team.
Our guest today, Anurag KEDIA, loved his sessions at the spa after a hard day's work. In fact, he loved it so much that he decided to quit his job, join hands with his friends and turn entrepreneur. In 2007, Anurag launched his own brand of spas, the Four Fountains, to bring to Indian audiences this lifestyle offering at affordable prices. Today, the brand has 11 centers across the country, and Anurag is now ready to spread his wings.
They are trying to give the $400 million spa business in India a value-for-money twist. Anurag KEDIA, along with his friends Sunil Rao and Saurabh Garg, launched the Four Fountain Spa in 2007 to cash in on the health and wellness sector. This team at Four Fountains claimed their services are available at 50% prices vis-a-vis competition, with therapies and beauty treatments priced between Rs 700 and 2,500 rupees. While the industry operates on niche service offerings and high margins, this trio decided to go the low margins and high volume route.
All of us were working in corporate jobs post our MBA, and all of us love to get massages, and our companies would often put us up in 5-star hotels and actually pay for the food and accommodation. Right. But when it came to massages, somewhere we had to pay the bill. And while we love to get massages, the 4,000 or 5,000 rupee massage at a 5-star hotel really pinched us. Secondly, the entire approach which spas had taken towards consumers. So, I would actually feel intimidated about entering a spa. So, this is something which was very intriguing to us. All right. We said, why not come with a spa proposition which people will easily digest. They will not feel pinched, if they have to go to a spa. And a spa which is very, very friendly towards their consumers.
The business of spa, though very nascent in the country, it is a very fragmented business. You have everybody from a destination spa resort to a day spa concept. What is your proposition in all of this?
Where we position ourselves are into day spas. What a day spa means is that you should be able to go very easily. It should be very, very accessible to you. That's our concept of day spa. All right. Within day spas, how we are trying to position ourselves is that we try and offer quality services at affordable prices.
Okay, but also within your concept of day spas, you see a spectrum of competition that you are competing against at the moment. There are international brands, there are FMCG giants who have their own brands, and then there are always the mom and pop setups. What is really the differentiator for you?
We are actually happy, when there are more players in the market, especially more branded players, more organized players. Okay. Because right now the industry is in such a nascent stage that the penetration is very, very low. So we are not really immediately competing so much with each other. If at all we are competing with, other options of relaxation. Okay. So if people see, dining out as an option for relaxation, we might be competing with them. Yeah. If people see, going to a mall and, chilling out in a theater as an option for relaxation, we are actually competing with them than so much against each other.
And the price point that you operate in terms of the segment of the market that you operate in?
Typically, we are at 50-60% cheaper than a typical spa in the market. Okay. So, in a metro, we are talking about a price point of around 1,400-1,500 versus 3,000 to 4,000 of a typical spa in the metros.
What is the kind of traction you've been able to create for the brand?
See, so far we have served more than 50,000 unique guests. Yeah. We have delivered more than 1.2 lakh massages.
A chain of 11 spas across the country, Four Fountains today has over 120 employees across 6 cities. Though a flexible regulatory framework has allowed the sector to grow 30% year-on-year, lack of standardized quality certifications has been a challenge. Competing with over 2,500 day spas across the country, Anurag believes recognizing the wellness and spa business as a healthcare sector will give the industry the required standardization.
See, I would think it is primarily healthcare. Because we are essentially talking about the health of the consumers, we are talking about de-stressing them, we are talking about relaxing them. However, you cannot ignore the element of hospitality, which is true for any service industry today. So hospitality is essentially there, but primarily it is healthcare.
Okay, but when you talk about healthcare, doesn't it open a can of worms in terms of benchmarking the therapists, benchmarking your therapies? How do you manage that?
No, I think it's not a can of worms. In fact, that's a requirement for the industry. Because consumers today cannot differentiate between a spa A and a spa B and a spa C. And it's not right for the consumers to, end up being in the hands of an unexperienced or an untrained therapist. So I think it's quite required from the government side to come forward and put in regulations, put in quality standards.
In terms of revenues, how has Four Fountains really fared, and how have you been able to really spread the venture in the last 4 years?
When we started off, we launched 2 spas in Pune. We added a third one in the second year. We have roughly been doubling the revenues every year.
Doubling its revenues year-on-year, the Four Fountains team is now targeting a turnover of 5 crore rupees this year. Funded by Fulcrum Ventures, Four Fountains is now ready to raise another round of funding to set up 300 spas by 2014.
Our expansion strategy is to set up a regional hub at a metro and then really flood the market in the nearby tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns.
Absolutely.
Because whether it is a Bombay or a Pune or an Aurangabad, stress is everywhere. People are getting tired everywhere, which is where we feel we need to be close to the customers. So to begin with, our franchisees were only investors, and we were actually operating the spas. Now we are actually moving a step ahead, where the spas will not only be owned by the franchisees, but will also be operated by the franchisees.
Okay, but don't you think you've been too fast in franchising out the business? You've given out the business to franchisees. Don't you think it's too soon to do that?
A franchisee can bring in a lot of local knowledge. He or she can bring in a lot of local network in terms of corporate tie-ups, doing on-the-field activations, reaching out to customers, reaching out to their friends and family, which is where the franchisee adds in value.
Absolutely.
But a large part of the business is still controlled by the company.
This is a very capital-intensive business, and you've been lucky to have investors from the very beginning. So what was your pitch to them that you felt won them over?
I think one thing which was common for the 3 of us and for the investors was that all of us love massages. And somewhere, in spite of being investors, 4,000 bucks was something they also found unreasonable. And they were pretty excited.
It was too good a deal for them to refuse.
Absolutely. They said, 1,000 rupees for a massage? Are you joking? We said, no. I mean, look at the numbers.
What are the growth plans for the venture?
We're clearly looking at expanding the spas. We have 3 spas in Bombay. We want to scale that up further. Next year, we're looking at adding at least 15 to 20 spas more. We're looking at Bangalore immediately as the next step. We're looking at Chennai and Delhi as the next markets. Post which, once we go to Bangalore, the entire ecosystem for Bangalore and Karnataka develops. We're looking to do close to like $1 million this year. Apart from expanding in spas, we're also looking at certain services which will go well along with the spas. So spa products are a big market. So we would want to retail spa products from our own stores and from the other retail channels, the traditional retail channels which are there. We have also started doing mobile spas in a small way. So there are a lot of corporate clients, who are interested in getting the spa inside the corporate itself. So a lot of traction is happening on the other segment also, which I would call as the mobile spa division.
Those are a lot of plans. So what are the kind of investments that you're looking at?
We're looking at essentially, setting up 300 spas over the next 4 to 5 years. That will entail an investment of around 150 to 200 crores. A large part of it, this will come from the franchisees. Now, some part of it, this will come from the company. So it will be a combination of both.
Are you looking at another round of investment?
I would say we are open to another round of investment, but we are not actively looking for it.
I want to ask you this. You're in the business of wellness and de-stress. How stressful is your job? What keeps you awake at night?
We often talk in the organization that work pressure is inevitable.
Yes.
Feeling stressed out or feeling tired is optional. Definitely there are challenges in the business. One big challenge is the manpower. There are no training institutes. So the only source of manpower which we have is the dedicated training institute we have. Which also means that there is so much more pressure on the training institute to deliver. Once people are trained, there is a lot of efforts which go behind retaining the employees because the industry is expanding at such a fast pace. Apart from this, the regular challenges which a retail business would face, the escalating real estate costs, how do you engage with landlords? How do you engage with different government bodies to set up places?
Yeah.
So those kind of challenges are also there.
Okay. We wish you all the very best and all the wellness. Anurag, thank you so much for joining us on Young
Thanks,
Turks.
Saugat.
Thanks a lot.
From all of us here on the Young Turks team, here's wishing all of you at the Four Fountains Spa the very best of luck. Time for a break. When we return, the young founder of rentcart.com in a Young Turks tutorial with TC Meenakshi Sundaram of IDG Ventures.